This week I just finished an amazing couple weeks with Counterpoint, YU's program running a camp for teens at risk in the Negev, teaching them English. And yesterday, to close off the amazing summer that we had, we went to a program, an OU-run program, that's basically a hangout for Israeli teens and gives them somewhere to go, a safe place to go when they're out super late at night. And the man, Don, who was giving us a tour and explaining about the place, he told this Dvar Torah that was so simple, but I found so powerful and worth sharing. So I want to share what he said. And he was talking about in this week's Parshat Pinchas, that Hashem counts Jewish people. But when Hashem counts the Jewish people, he doesn't use the word lispor. The Torah doesn't say the normal word for counting, which is, to count. No, instead, it uses the words Se'u et rosh adat b'nei Yisrael, which means lift up the heads of the people of the congregation of Israel. And the intent there is that it's referring to counting. Please count the people. So why, when it comes to counting, does it not use the typical Hebrew word for counting, but instead uses the words meaning to lift their heads? And what this man said is that because really when you count people, if you're going one by one and you're giving each person the time of day enough to acknowledge their presence in order to count them, that is enough to lift their head. Meaning if I'm counting someone, it could be that very literally I'm just lifting heads as I go along, but in all likelihood it's that when I go one by one and I give each person the amount of attention that it takes to count them, which isn't much, right? It's just a small acknowledgement of, hi, you're here, and I'm acknowledging you on the list. That's actually very, very powerful and enough to lift someone's day, even if it doesn't go much deeper than that. And I was thinking about that, and obviously he was talking about working with teens at risk, that it's something that's so important. They feel that care and they feel attention on an individual basis. But it's obviously true in all relationships. Even in our davening, one of the Prakim of Tehillim in Pesukei Zimra says, it refers to Hashem, it's one of the praises of Hashem, and says, Moneh mispar lekochavim, lekulam shemot yikra. What does that mean? That Hashem gives numbers, counts all the stars, and each one receives a name. And I think those two things are connected, right? If you're able to give a number, acknowledge the presence of every single star, right? And obviously we have billions in our universe, but Hashem can acknowledge every single star, then each one kind of receives a name. Each one receives like a special essence. There's a relationship there. It's not just created and thrown off, into stardust land. Each one is accounted for. Each one was created individually. And that's where counting fits in along the same lines. When I acknowledge every single individual's presence enough to acknowledge them, say their name, count them, then there's a deeper relationship that develops, even if it was just that moment of giving each other more attention. So on Sunday, we start the 3 weeks of Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, which is a time when we have to focus way more intently on unifying our people before hopefully we won't have to have the upcoming Tisha B'Av fast. But in these few weeks, if we take a moment to just focus on giving attention to another person and looking outside of ourselves and acknowledge every presence, I think we'll get one step closer to a better reality. And I hope that thought carries you into Shabbat. I know it's something that stuck with me, and I hopefully it'll enhance your Shabbat in the next few weeks as well. Shabbat Shalom.